soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who do just what they say, the brave men of the Green Beret.
March for
Silver
wings.
Hey, what?
Thanks for joining us on the United Patriots Constitutional Radio Show with your hosts Johnny and Chuck. I will now turn the mic over to Johnny, so here's Johnny.
Thank you very much, Pete. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the United Constitutional Patriots Radio Show, America's News, True News. And other than Q drops we have, first we do have a very special guest. His name's Ken Anderholt. He was one of the Texas ranchers down on the Red River when BLM was trying to take their land from them. And the Red River ranchers got together, sued the state of, sued the Bureau of Land Management, and they are the first to ever beat BLM, and literally they were kicked out of the state of Texas. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to to my friend Ken, who is an honor to have you on here tonight, Ken. And I especially, it means a lot to me because I know you guys, and I know you and your family. And having you here is going to open the eyes of a lot of the ranchers across the United States and people that are dealing with BLM and the Forest Service. They fall under the same category. So with that, Ken, go ahead, sir, and welcome to the United Constitutional Patriots Show. And it's a real pleasure again and an honor to have you.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate everything you guys have done.
Well, we just do our job for you, and that's what the Patriots do.
Well, it's very much appreciated.
So if you want, just go ahead and I'd like for you to begin when all this started and walk us all the way through the court and everything. Everything has happened.
Okay. It started like I believe it was in 2013, a week or two before Christmas, dead of winter, and one evening, 4:30, 5 o'clock, I had some local neighbors call me, say there was a meeting going on in Wichita Falls, Texas, with the BLM on a Red River project. There in the Wichita Falls paper, in the very back in the one ads part, there was a little bitty column that said, meeting tonight at 6 o'clock, BLM Red River project. It was very hidden. They said the meeting was going to be at the library in Wichita Falls. So we all head to the library in Wichita Falls, but to the drive to Wichita Falls kept getting photos. They kept changing it. They go from there to one hotel atrium room to another, but we finally found it. And they had a display set up on a project that was going on along the Red River that they was claiming 90,000 acres, and they were going to, it was up for a project for the public to decide what they wanted to do with the project. It could be anywhere from horseback riding to watching butterflies and birds. It's whatever the public wanted. And they were just going to put a bunch of input in, advertise it, and what the people of the nation wanted was what was going to happen. At the time, I thought it was a little bit exaggerated. I thought, I just didn't know what to think. I didn't know really what was going on. So, along the Red River, the maps that they had it drawn in red, and it took a lot more acres than what the river actually was and what their land actually was along the river. But I thought at the time that they had exaggerated it just so we could understand. But through the course of the next few weeks, I understood that I was wrong, that this was indeed a land grab. And so that's kind of when we started having some meetings. Some legislators showed up, Farm Bureau. And the BLM was not backing down. They were saying the whole time, this is our property. We're going to decide what to do with it. And at one point when I told them, I said, well, my house is included in y'all's scoping process, because that's what they was calling the scoping process. They said, well, you may have a problem, but it's going to be ours. And they were no good at PR. They were very blunt, and they really made a lot of people upset. And the meetings that we had, they would just tell us, they said, if y'all feel this is y'all's property, then y'all need to put in the scoping process that y'all feel this is y'all's property, we may lease it back to y'all, or come up with some kind of a rental agreement. And you people that have homes included in this, we'll go through and maybe rent your home to you, or lease it to you, or sell it to you even. It just depends on what we decide to do in the coming months and years. But when we had the meeting with some of the legislators, and it was a very political situation because they were having a midterm election, when they showed up, they downplayed as much as they could, because we had several pretty big elections going on for senators and congressmen at that time. So they just kind of, a lot of things that they were telling us in these private meetings, they were really sugarcoating it when politicians were around. So that continues for like probably over a year. Farm Bureau got involved, the Texas Cattle Raisers Association got involved. So it's just started getting more exposure. I made a trip to Washington with Farm Bureau, met lots of legislators, a lot of senators, talked to them, discussed things. It was, I felt like that helped. It didn't really get the ball rolling or anything, but it was just getting the message out there, what was going on. But as far as the legislation and legislators went, it was all about getting a bill passed to get this stopped. We're gonna get a bill passed, go through the House, the Senate, and then this is the way it's going to happen. That was really the only way they had of dealing with it. But through the meetings in Washington, most of the congressmen and senators that we met with, they made the comment. They said, well, you still got your guns, don't you? I mean, they would say that in Washington in their offices. So this continued, but it was just going to be a long process. So me and my neighbors, we were scrambling on what to do, because BLM wasn't waiting. They were not backing down. They were coming after us. They said, this is ours, and we're coming to claim it. And so we didn't want to wait for legislation. So the Cattle Raisers Association and Farm Bureau, there was enough noise being made that we got Greg Abbott to come to Wichita Falls. He was coming there for a few things, and we met with him. And he said, well, we know what's happening, but what can we do about it? And basically we decided it was just going to have to be a lawsuit, because that was the only thing that was going to shut it down in time for us to save our property and our homes and all that we'd worked for. So between all of us had one guy went down to Austin to the land office looking up a lot of legal stuff on how this could be happening, and luckily he come across a senator that said, there's a Texas Public Policy Foundation. This is what they do. They fight for the rights of people that are getting invaded by government. A lot of it is through oil leases. When government gets involved, they fight for the people and against the government intrusion. So we got in touch with them. They came up, looked at our case, looked at everything going on, and they took the case. And from that point on, that's what got the ball rolling. When we filed the lawsuit against them, it really backed them up, and it shut them down. And I don't think anything else would have shut them down like a lawsuit did. I was real surprised by how the lawsuit affected their arrogance and their bulliness when they were coming at us. And so through that, it was a long process. The lawsuit lingers on. The BLM starts off fighting hard, showing evidence of why they think this property is theirs. But it was all just show and tell. They had nothing legally to show us or our lawyers that gave them any legal precedence of this property. They redefined the gradient boundary through the Obama administration and through some of the earlier Department of Interior lawyers. They just did a lot of different word definitions, and that was what they were going off of to come get our property. But as our property was defined in the 1923 Supreme Court decision, a Supreme Court justice came down to Texas and very well described the gradient boundary. And that is the way that the state of Texas has deeded property, gave titles to property. It's off the wording of them Supreme Court justices in that 1923 Supreme Court decision. So when the BLM comes in, they just redefine all of that. They redefine the gradient boundary. Everything is redefined, and that's what they claim gave them precedence to go this 1 to 2 miles from the edge of the water. But what helped us so much is 3 counties also got involved because they had a lot at stake. Property tax, the way our deed went to our property, titles, they could have all been sued because we've been paying taxes on this property for generations. And so that made them nervous. And so they joined the lawsuit with us. And it just kind of all came together. We had a lot of power. When I said Greg Abbott was behind us, a lot of our legislators were behind us, our counties were behind us, and we had a very good legal case against them because we had good wording from that 1923 lawsuit where our Supreme Court justices wanted this boundary defined once and for all. And all of them different things that came together, it helped us a lot. Lawsuit, but in the way that things happened, and it pretty much backed them up when the lawsuit took place.
Dead air.
And that they had not claimed my property. They were saying that the only property that they had claimed was where they had the markers. But what they actually did was the markers that they had was mostly in Clay County. That set precedence for the whole 116 miles up and down the river. And so, even though a lot of us didn't have the markers, we were still in their mountain zone, and they were still claiming our property. So they did a lot of legal tactics to start with to try to get the case thrown out, but our attorneys did not fall for it. There was lots and lots of amendments that went back and forth to the judge. That went on for well over a year, and once the judge claimed that they had valid reasons for all of us to be in this lawsuit as a unit, that was really a hard blow to BLM, because they really didn't have any fight with them, because they didn't have any. The legal part of it was not on their side whatsoever. So it kind of started unfolding from there for them. But we continued, and we had to go do depositions in Dallas with attorneys, and so it continues up until about a week before we go to trial, and that's when they completely caved, and they said that they gave us back everything we asked for in the lawsuit. Our property was to be given back to us. They was no longer going to consider it theirs. All of the maps was going to be thrown away. They wanted their markers pulled up and destroyed. They no longer had claim to it, and they said it was a big mistake. And I mean, that's basically what happened. They did not want to go to the courtroom, and so all of the whole list of things that we wanted, we got. It was to be advertised that this was no longer BLM property. The maps was to go away. Everything that they had done was to be destroyed. And one other issue that we were having the whole time, not so much as me, but some of my neighbors up in Clay County, where they were claiming all this property was next to a bridge. And so from where the bridge starts to the river was almost a mile. There was people coming in there, and they were making drugs. They were doing drugs. They were setting fires. They were drinking, and they were bringing their four-wheelers in. And the BLM had no way of policing it. And so that was another big issue. There were a lot of people got killed there with four-wheeler accidents and a lot of accidents. And so that was a huge problem at this time once the BLM announced that was theirs. The public just started rolling in. And the local law enforcement couldn't do anything or wouldn't do anything because the BLM was claiming it. So they went and put up signs there saying this is not BLM property. They reversed everything and pretty much gave us our land back to us and our counties and local law enforcement so that this would never happen again. And that's kind of the way it happened. That's the way it unfolded.
Man, that's interesting. Well, during the period of time that you were not able to use the land, did they have to make compensation beyond that?
No, they was never to make compensation because we never quit using the land.
Oh, okay.
We continued using the land. Now, some of my neighbors down in Clay County, where all the public was coming in so much, no, they did not get any compensation for anything at all, none whatsoever. It was just unfortunate, but no one got recompensated for any of it.
Well, how many ranchers actually? Do you know the numbers of the actual ranchers that it affected down there?
It affected 116 miles. It affected about 90,000 acres, and it was right around probably 110 different property owners that it affected.
Wow.
But there was only 7 of us in the lawsuit. Reason for that was it more than that, they wanted to be enough to be significant with some kind of different cases, all of our situations were a little bit different. The way we acquired the property, the way the property ran along the slopes. Um, some properties were bigger than others, more acres. Our attorneys just didn't want to get too many people involved because it was going to confuse people and it was going to be harder to get the lawsuit going with so many people trying to agree on what to do. So that was why with the 7 of us was chosen.
Okay. During the period when BLM was trying to take your land from you, did you get threats?
I did not get threats. It started out, they did not threaten us, but they were very blunt. It wasn't like a threat. It was like, it's our property. You're going to have to deal with it. But we never really got any just hard threats. But they were very bold in the way they talked to us.
Well, I know, they, with the situation you folks had there in Texas and the situation in Bundy Ranch, I mean, they got totally physical with the Bundys, which you know about.
Yes.
And from killing their cattle to you name it.
Yes.
And that's why the Patriots reacted in the way they reacted when they were doing that to the Bundy Ranch. However, if they had done that to you when we were there with you, we'd have done the same thing. We would have protected you at all costs. However, you and your neighbors handled it in a way that I don't think anybody thought would work. Prior to that, because I guess nobody's ever tried to sue them like that before. But what you've done, you set precedence through the whole United States for anybody that is involved with BLM, because BLM is now an illegal entity in the United States. And from what I understand, they can't come but halfway across the Red River now.
That's correct.
Right.
Correct.
What was the deal on that?
Well, that kind of gets a bit touchy the way all that worked on this 116 miles. Back in the 1800s and early 1900s, there were some Indians that had some reservations over in Oklahoma. And usually along the Red River, Texas ends at the south bank of the water. It's just where Texas ends and Oklahoma starts. The river is supposed to belong to Oklahoma. At the south edge of the water is where Texas begins. But on this particular 116 miles that I live on, for whatever reason, there was some Indians along there that had some of that property. And so the Indians in Oklahoma, at that time, the tribe, they owned the middle of the river. And then from the middle of the river to the south edge of the water, the BLM owned it.
Okay.
This 160 miles. The BLM, it's very clear in that 23 Supreme Court decision, they only own to the water's edge at the southern bank of the Red River near the normal flow of water. That's the great boundary. Normal flow of water where the water touches the sand. And that was it. That was all they owned from that to the middle of the river. That's it.
And in other words, they were also trying to take some of the Cherokees' land away from them too.
No, they did not want any of the Indians. They were coming from where they were famous from the Miller River, but they redefined the gradient boundary to the big high bluff and even further to the south, which in some cases is up to almost 2 miles from the river.
Wow.
No, they were not trying to touch the Indians.
Well, I tell you what, I'm just really happy that you folks were able to beat them at their own game. because that's what it takes is Americans standing up against corruption. And you folks did it.
Well, I thank you for that, and we did. I just think a lot of fortunate things happen for us in a timely manner to I think if our legislators hadn't got involved, I think if Greg Abbott hadn't got involved in the Texas Cattle Raisers Association and the Farm Bureau, I think we would have had a lot more problems than what we actually had. I think that when we were having meetings with them, they didn't threaten us, but they were like, look, we're doing this scoping process. And that's slowing down a lot because the scoping process was going to take like a year, between 1 and 2 years before they figured out what they were actually going to do with this property. That helped us a lot because it slowed them down because they were having to go through this process on finding out what to do with this property. Well, in the meantime, we were getting our battle ready to battle, and that gave us time to hold them off, and that really helped us a lot.
Well, you know, God works mysterious ways.
Yes, he does.
And he gave you folks the ammunition you needed and the way that you could get them at their own terms. And I'm glad that Greg Abbott was there for you also. He was with us when we were in Shepherd, Texas, when Obama was trying to put in a ICE unit, and we shut that down in less than a week, and a corrupt city council. But what you did in the process with Greg Abbott, which I have a lot of respect for, you made it possible for people to fight BLM and use those same laws in 1926, I think you said? 1923. And you gave them, that gives them the ammunition because those laws, even though it's the state of Texas, those laws should also be effective for every state in the union where BLM, Forest Service, illegal government agencies are trying to claim land.
Well, I'm certainly glad to be a part of it. I hope it helps a lot of people and makes it where this can no longer happen in this country.
Well, this country, as you know right now, Trump, I'm really proud of what he's doing. And this country is starting to wake up now. And I just hope that the American people realize what is actually going on. Because it takes folks like you to make them aware of how the corruption really works. And you've definitely done that. You stood the United States farmers, the farmers, the ranchers, even your gold miners on they're on BLM that they're trying to run them off for Forest Service land. Because what you've done, you've helped every one of them, and you gave them ammunition to fight their case and win. And out of that, we got to take our hat off to you, sir.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to help any way that I could, and I hope it works out for everyone else as well as it did for us. And I appreciate the comments.
Well,
I never realized until this happened that someone could just come and claim something without really any legal authority to do it. And when they claimed it, it was theirs unless you fought them off. I never realized that happened the way that it does.
Well, you know, you have the same situation going on right now down on the Louisiana-Texas state line, Caddy Lake.
Yes.
And I think they're trying to go about it a little bit different, trying to go through legislature or something now. I'm not sure. But we're keeping a real close eye on that. And we have boots on the ground on that situation because they're trying to take in think it's, Chuck, what is it, 15,000 miles of water and land or something like that, square miles?
14. I think it was 14,000 something.
Okay, well, 14,000, somewhere around there. I know it's a huge, and these people need to know what, they're against, but they do have ammunition, thanks to you, on how to deal with this situation.
Right. Well, I hope it works out for them.
It's surprising how things, strange things, how one person and then another and another, like all the ranchers that were involved in this, how it can actually change their lives and save people from losing what they have, what they worked for all their life, just by having the knowledge that you've been able to give.
Well, I appreciate that. And it was an accident that it all happened the way that it did. I mean, we were running around like a bunch of ants, not knowing which direction to go. And we just, it started so small with just us property owners didn't know what to do. Our local game wardens were with us because they were upset about all this because of all the illegal activity going on along the river that they couldn't police because of the BLM. They didn't have the authority to go on BLM property. Well, all this illegal hunting was going on, drug manufacturing. And so it started that small, and it kind of went to Texas Cattle Raisers, Farm Bureau, and it just, I guess, just the right people come into place, and it worked out great in the end. But it was a long process, I'll tell you that much.
I can understand that. But I'll tell you what, I really appreciate you being on with us tonight, Ken. And I'd like to invite you in permanently with us if you're willing. You are, you're not just a personal friend to me. You were a victim of what the government tried to do, and you were able to beat them with their own game. And you've been highly supportive of us, and it's appreciated. And we've always got your back if you ever need us, no matter what, ever. We're there.
I know you are.
All you got to do is pick up the phone.
Don't call away. I've got you right there in my contacts.
Yep. Well, I'm a whole 9 hours from you, but I'd get in a vehicle and bring them in with me in 2 minutes, flat, without any second thought. All you have to say is, "Hey, I got problems. Get down here."
I know it, and I know you would be here, and I very much appreciate it.
So, if you want, let's see if anybody's got any questions for you. I'm gonna go through one at a time. Chuck, do you have any questions for Kenny? Or Ken?
Oh, sir, I really don't.
Pete, do you have any? Pete is one of President Trump's advisors, and he's a direct contact for us if we ever need it. So, Pete, have you got anything? Okay, Greg?
Well, yeah, of course, I'm very interested to see how this is going to affect the situation in Burns, Oregon. Of course, they don't have the political support up there. They've got a crooked governor and crooked prosecutor and crooked judges, and also, of course, the situation in Nevada. But especially Burns, Oregon, I think is a very interesting situation that we've covered before. There's some extreme. They've taken political prisoners. This is a really crazy situation we have in Burns, Oregon. So I'll be very interested to see how that plays out and how they can use this to try and free up that land. I don't know if you know all about that, Ken, but they're trying to steal trillions of dollars in minerals, and they've blocked off the land from hunting and fishing, and they had UN troops up there. And I mean, the saddest part was the political prisoners, but it's just been a horrendous situation up there. And I would be very interested to see if this can help.
And what's the last one? You'd be very interested if I did what?
You want to repeat yourself? Go ahead, Greg.
This is in Burns, Oregon. The Holland standoff up there. They've taken refuge, and they are stealing trillions of dollars in land or in minerals there, and they blocked it off, and they won't let anyone on the property. And they had UN troops up there, and they had mercenaries up there. So that's a really hot situation, and we'll be interested to see how this court case will affect that.
You bet.
Is this happening now, Greg?
Yeah, this is happening now.
Okay, Thermal Rancher, Tom, you got anything to say to Ken? Any questions or anything? Because they just took some of your land up there illegal.
Oh, yeah, that was that nasty, the judge. He's a prick. Excuse my language on the radio, but I'll put it blunt. Yeah, no, what happened here in Harney County was an overreach of the federal government, the Bureau of Land Management, U.S. Fish and Game, the Mulhill Refuge, trying to take a piece of land, a ranch, 6,000 acres. That's a quarter between Bill Clinton's national monument, which is the Steens Mountain. Babbitt made, you remember Babbitt, he put into effect, and they want to join that and the Mulhill Refuge to make a wildlife corridor type BS. And it just, it got crazy. The refuge went after the Hammonds. They were going after the Hammonds since the late 80s. And they just kept escalating. And then finally, they took them to court. The judge sentenced Steve to 1 year, Dwight 3 months. Then they came back at him for a second time and got him for 5 years combined. With the 3 years, Dwight would have got 4 years, 9 months, and Steve would have got 4 years. And that was a pardon. But during that whole situation, we experienced martial law. We experienced all the control the Obama administration could throw at us to take our land. The Oregon State Police referred to us as a UN county. They referred to our neighboring county to north of us, Grant County, as a county that believed in the other stuff, which is the Constitution. They had a constitutional sheriff that believed in following the Constitution. So that was the other county. And it was strictly the UN crown jewel is the Mulhill Refuge. You go towards the Mulhill Refuge, you see signs of ownership. Trespassers will be persecuted. You do not trespass on the Mulhill Refuge unless you got authority to travel on the refuge, to go riding your horse off. I went after cows many times and got my ass, the cops calling me and that to come down and check me out what I was doing on the refuge.
Training.
And so it's an experience. It's a travesty, an overreach of the government. The Bureau of Land Management, out of a county of 4.5 million acres, owned 3.7 million acres. And it's a travesty of government overreach beyond compare.
Okay, War Dog, you got any questions for Ken?
Yeah, I do have some questions. Since Trump's been in office, have you had any other? Since Trump's been in office, have you had any problems?
No. No, I have not.
That's what I thought. Now, the next thing, why are they trying to get your land? What kind of minerals you got on the ground?
None around here, in this locally, in this county. Well, I say in my area, within a few miles of me, none. No minerals. There, north of Vernon, yes, there are some minerals. I don't really know all that. Anytime you get 90,000 acres for free, that's not a bad day. A lot of people, our neighbors, think that was minerals. They were the minerals. They never really claimed that. Now, they did claim that the minerals were there. that it was theirs. They kept going back to this scoping process, bird watching, maybe turn loose to the Boys and Girls Club. I really don't know actually what their intent was to do with the property, but I just thought of something else to say. The trips that we went to Washington, we were speaking of the people that were like at the head of the BLM, head of the Department of Interior, and what they would say was not what's going on. I mean, it's so many layers of bureaucracy. There's so many people that had to go through that we just couldn't get anything done. But they would say one thing, and when we get back here to Texas, it would be totally different. You just couldn't get anywhere with them. But as far as the property goes, I really feel like it was probably just the minerals, because before we filed the lawsuit, a few of the people in the building, they were getting so hammered on what was going on here in Texas that they were going to give us the color of title, or we talked about the color of title, or we could buy the property back. You got to fill out a bunch of forms, proving how long you've lived there, how long your family's been there, all these things. Then it's got to go through a process with the BLM. They decide whether they're going to let you have your property back and how much they're going to charge you for it. But they was not going to give us the minerals. We would not have the mineral rights to it. But that's also a huge step, a huge process, and it might take years and years and years to ever get done, if it ever got done at all. So we talked about that a little bit, but basically we didn't shut it down until we got the lawsuit going.
Wow. Let me ask you a question, Ken. To your knowledge, do you have any oil under your land?
To my knowledge, I don't. They drilled an oil here on this property probably when I was a kid back in like 1976, hit a dry hole. So as far as I know, no, there's no property on, no minerals on this property.
Okay.
Hey, Ken, could I ask one question? Could it be the most possible, obvious answer of all? Was the water what they want? Control of the water to the most furthest flow possible. Because water is the greatest commodity. It's more valuable than any mineral ever mined. Without water, you destroy the ranches, you get free land cheaper.
Yes. And I think that's a lot of it. I think they just wanted to have control of the water. Because it wasn't long after this happened with the BLM, they come in and Obama legislated. I don't know if y'all know, but there's 28 states that sued Obama over it. They wanted so like out here on the farm, you're supposed to kind of protect navigable waters. They took the word navigatable waters out and just made it waters. So legally, if you had a water puddle out here in my driveway or anywhere on my property, they could just come in and say it's contaminated and just shut me down on a section of land. So that happened right after the BLM started claiming ownership of our property. So I really think that had a lot to do with it. I just think they wanted to have control of the water.
Yeah, exactly. That's my belief. That's down here. They wanted control. They want control of all the water. They've been trying to sue for the waters in the Malheur Refuge Basin to get complete control of the water. The water is the most valuable commodity you can come up with. And what you were talking about is the waters of the U.S. that Donald Trump wrote an executive order to get rid of. And now a federal judge came back and reissued it.
Right. Yeah, that's a scary situation with that. for sure.
Well, I do know right now the government, I should say the left, is trying to control all the waters.
Yes.
And I don't believe that they're going to be able to do it, but that's what this deal is down there in on the Texas-Louisiana state line. They want to control the waters. They've made laws to where you can't even, legally, you cannot save rainwater in a barrel. And that is, that right there is something that, that's, if that isn't an overreach, I don't know what is.
Right, that's tremendous overreach.
You know, you control the water, you control the people.
That's right.
And like I said, you know, what you have done is open doors and given people other avenues that they can take. And all we can do is just pray that everything works for them. And it works out all the way around for everybody. But the fight's not over, we know it. But we're going to be there to fight no matter what and protect people's constitution rights and protect those people personally if necessary. And that's where we stand with you. We're shoulder to shoulder, Ken, and we always will be. We have been from day one, and we'll stay that way.
Well, I know you've proven it time and time again, and I'm very much appreciative of that. And it was always nice knowing that you were there.
Hey, what are friends for?
That's right.
When they, you know, I look at it this way, you know, when they, you know, they mess with the American people, I'm going to stand up and fight for them, and I'll even die for them. But when it comes to my friends, people that I know are hardworking and good, honest people like you and your family, there ain't no way in hell. All of our men will lay their lives down for you, and we'll do that for any American. But when they start hitting friends, then it's hitting it personal, very personal. And I take it personal. You know, I know I shouldn't, but I do. But everybody knows me. I'm outspoken, and I say the way that I say the way it is, whether they like it or not. You know, let the chips fall where they are. If they don't have the man pants to wear, get in a pink skirt and kiss the ground. You know, that's all I can say. So, anybody else have any questions for Ken?
Well, not necessarily for Ken, Johnny. I am interested in this water situation. You know, we've got our situation in Michigan. I'm going to keep harping on it that Nestle is driving up rivers and causing problems for people that were using their rivers, and they're selling this water, and they're basically drying up rivers. And I don't know how this relates, but I'm going to keep bringing it up until maybe President Trump takes a look at this situation. I'm not sure how a private corporation can take the water, sell it, and deprive the citizens of their rivers. So I'm going to keep bringing it up until we figure something out on that.
Well, and I expect you to, Greg. A little background on Greg for you, Ken. He's written a book. I'll let him tell you about it. For the colleges, and he's been related to a couple of the presidents. His grandfathers were the ones that started the unions back in the 30s or 20s. He's a very interesting guy, well educated. He's also into the movie scenes as a producer. He's been in with the Motown music for years, and he knows about everybody. And usually he's my fix-it man. I need something done. I say, hey, Greg, I need help. You know, but Greg can give you a little bit of background on him you might find interesting. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. Thanks for the plug, Johnny. Yes, American Watersheds, and if you want to help me out and help me get into the universities and tell these kids what's really happened throughout these elections, the 16 election, I was in all the political campaigns, that sort of thing. But it's called American Watersheds, and it's AmericanWatersheds.com. And I sure hope people will buy it on ebook because we need to get real education back into our kids. It's a history book. I am related to 3 presidents. It goes back to Martin Van Buren, who started mass media and celebrities. He bought a newspaper press and started making newspapers and used his new social networking, which was trains. And so it's a history of media. It's a history of the fight of the people against these globalists through the strikes of the 30s. And it's also, but I make it fun where the kids just hate their textbooks. So it's all written in comedy, and there's music and movie links that they can enjoy through it, and as documentaries. So they're just amazing documentaries and about a lot of our great women activists, whether it's Jane Addams or Janora Johnson or Merlene Kimball or a lot of these great activists, women activists that aren't in other books that fought for our rights as well. And people that fought for our freedom of speech and our constitutional rights. So it takes in a lot of things, but there's all these great, you get to meet all your music stars, and I tell funny stories about them all, and whether it's Motown or New Orleans or New York or all these different people. So I try to make it fun and make it cool for the kids where they can enjoy good music and good movies while they learn about all this stuff. But it's basically a history of media and a history of people who fought for our rights as constitutional rights and just as rights as people to live and be treated fairly and to have rights at all, to have worker rights or whatever type of rights they were, freedom of speech. So it works into basically a history book that is fun. It's all written in comedy and movies and music, but I'm hoping people out there will help me. I really need to get into these colleges and teach them some of the new science. It's got a lot of our great scientists that aren't talked about, and some of our spies. It's got spies in there and some of the things they did, like Peter N. James and a bunch of great scientists and stuff like that. So it's all those different things. It's you have all these fun people that you learn about, and new science. There's a whole new science as an add-in chapter that basically completes Tesla's work. So it covers a lot of different things, but it was just I think it was God's will that I got with this group here, and we can continue to fight for our constitutional rights and continue to get our country back and to get these government overreaches out of our lives. So I sure thank you very much, Johnny, for giving me a chance to plug that. American Watersheds. An American watershed is someone who is in a place or time to change American history and make it better. And I think, Ken, you're one of those people. You're an American watershed now because you set the stage to change history and help us get the states the rights back to our lands and take them away from the federal government and in these grand land grabs and these water grabs. And so we sure do appreciate having you on the show. I think that you yourself are becoming an American watershed. So congratulations, and I'm glad you made it to the story. And I know all Americans owe you a debt of gratitude.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all the nice things you said, and I appreciate all you've done, and I appreciate all you guys have done to be there and help me anytime I needed it.
Well, we'll always be there for you. You know that. So.
You bet I do.
Okay, and you got anything else you want to add before we go to our cues, Ken?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, again, I'd like for you to stay online if you would, but I'm going to ask Chuck, who is my one of my generals, and he is also my chief intel officer, and well, he wears a lot of hats within the Patriot organization. But Chuck, go ahead, and we'll get through the cues, and when you're finished, if there's any comments left, then we'll close our show as always with prayer.
All right, sir. Am I being heard by everybody?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. We will start this evening's cues, and there are a few. We got a few yesterday. We got a few today. But the ones we got, because in recent days we've gotten cues indicating that the president was to declassify the FISA report and the FISA warrants to be in the offing. So we'll start with cue number 2076 as EX1 being afraid Rodham Clinton care about you? If she cared about protecting you, would she sell out American secrets and uranium to China and Russia? Okay, EX1 in the kill box. Thought if charges were brought, they'd be safe. They control the Supreme Court. Okay, Antonin Scalia out. Okay, or Adam Schiff, whichever one the AS is. Hillary Rodham Clinton appointments. Things. Final. Did Anthony Kennedy, that's the one that just retired, did Anthony Kennedy have a choice? Was the original plan, according to Hillary Rodham Clinton election win? What evidence was he shown? RBG, that's Ruth Bader Ginsburg replacement, lifetime appointment. Okay. Question mark. What is at stake? He lists a number of Hillary Clinton Twitter where she was literally, I won't click on every one of them and read every one, but she was literally going after the current Supreme Court nominee, Matt Kavanaugh, were the Democrats, as were some very sickening people sitting in the back 2 rows the last couple of days. And then Q says, pain comes in many different forms, full control. Q. All right. There is a Twitter status.com. John Kyle will be John McCain's successor. The Senate, Cindy McCain says. Well, apparently it turns out, I can't tell you that apparently John Kyle, from what I've read, is a Trump supporter, so we'll see how that works out. Kyle's been in the Senate before, and he's apparently coming back. Okay. 78 is a FoxNews.com article. It says Chicago mayor will announces he will not seek re-election. And Q says add this one to the list. He says we need to add Rahm to the list of people who are resigning, who are not running for re-election, so on and so forth. 2079 is a post himself Imam Twahidi, whatever that is. Okay. McCain was on his way to becoming an American hero, but instead became for ISIS and the Muslim Brotherhood. No American senator fought for Islamist rights of jihadists like Senator McCain. Okay, and this is a guy that's a Muslim, and he's saying this about John McCain. Okay, and a couple more Twitter statuses there. Q. Okay, then Q 2080. Image of Hillary Clinton wearing a necklace around her. And there is a it's either an amulet or a talisman that it has an upside down cross in it. It says note the satanic cross she wears, and then the second one is an image Chelsea wearing an upside down cross around her neck as well, And Q says, like mother, like daughter. Okay, and there were some Qs that to do with Hillary, so I think she's probably going to be on the list when the get unredacted and released, which we're going to be talking about here shortly. Q2081. Hey, it starts off with an image of Zuckerberg. Has to do with Facebook. It's a repeat of another Q from September the 3rd. Outages today, and there were Facebook outages a couple of days ago. At Jack, shadow bans lifted, 24. All right. Legal cover pre-testimony. Okay. Apparently was they lifted the shadow bans, I guess, for a period of time while he was testifying. Current adoption of shadow banning regarding political viewpoints, etc. Etc. Pride ourselves, censorship, etc. Open and transparent, etc. Twitter underscore engages shadow banning across the entire program. You've been a bad boy. Okay. And then he says clockwork. Q. Let's see. All right. 2081. Okay. 2082. They repeat of the one we read a while ago where John McCain was on his way to becoming an American hero, but instead ISIS and the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay. There's a repeat of that. And then Q post that said, please do not let No Name off the hook. He's a disgrace to this great country and needs to be held accountable. And Q says, think Supreme Court vote to confirm coming. That's what the hearings are about going on right now. No name action. Every dog has its day. Q. And Q said, what are the odds? Okay. As we know, right before these hearings started up, John McCain died. Here's where it gets interesting. Q2083. Right here, because it is an image of an earlier Q2066. Said this was on September the 3rd, where it said both chambers, House and Senate, in session tomorrow. Dark. There is now light. Okay? And in that particular Q placed a code. An A5, an S6, a D1, an E2, and an L4. And like I said the other day when we went over this one, show you where to put the letters. So it spells out the word, when you put it together, it spells out the word D class. And the name on this image, it says 20 to killbox.jpg. So they're getting ready to declassify the FISA, all 20 pages of the FISA documents, getting ready to declassify that. And I believe it's going to happen before the end of this week because Q adds to this and says, a week to remember Q. Okay. Then we have a reddit.com Great Awakening post on the Great Awakening board at Reddit. and it says football rating is going up, and Q says almost. And what it is, it's a video showing down on a football field, and but they all got the faces just memed faces of politicians, and then one of them was when the video first came out was a 9-year-old boy that they because he had something, he was going to undergo surgery or something like that, they let him run the first play. He's being played by Hillary. It's got Hillary's face on it. She's running the ball down the field, and she gets almost to the end zone, and she gets clobbered. Donald Trump, okay, had a 98% chance of scoring. Supposedly, she had a 98% chance of winning, but Donald Trump beat her. Okay, so she gets clobbered by Donald Trump. So Q2085. And Anon from the 8chan looking at that posted and said 17-yard line. Q says, what are the odds of that? He would lose. Well, she was clobbered on the 17-yard line. Well, the significance of that, 15th letter of the alphabet. See, the president has received a number of jerseys from a number of sports teams with the number 17 on it. Well, the 17th letter of the alphabet is, okay, all right, then we have Q number 2086. A document of some kind says, all right, department then headed by Clinton's wife, Hillary Rodham Clinton, as the Russians gradually assumed control of uranium-1 in 3 separate transactions from 2009 to 2013. Canadian records show a flow of cash made its way into the Clinton Foundation. Uranium-1's chairman used this foundation to make to make 4 donations, $0.35 million. These contributions were not publicly disclosed by the Clintons, despite an agreement. Okay, had struck with the Mrs. Clinton had struck with the Obama White House to publicly identify all donors. Other people with ties to the company made donations as well, and shortly after, the Russians announced their intention to acquire a majority stake in Uranium-1. We received $500,000 for a Moscow speech from Russia, an investment bank with links to the Kremlin. Then Q says, gives a link to an FBI vault containing Uranium-1 transactions, documents, and what have you. Letter from Committee on Financial Services, Maxine Waters, California, ranking member, Financial Services apparently. There is a link to financialservices.house.gov. Members, okay. Conduct oversight. How do you obtain inside knowledge to close financial investigation? Maxine Waters, California, ranking member. The loudest, have the most to fear. She's been screaming impeach 45 ever since he got. And there's a video of .foxnews.com. This money talks. Q. Q2087. We're getting there, folks. Almost done. Q2087. Example 2. Being afraid. Another example of Hillary Clinton's status is from this morning. Again, going after the current Supreme Court nominee, Matt Kavanaugh. And Q says, witch hunt. Q. 88 shows an image. It says clipboard image.png. It's some guy. And it says, wait, what? You just posted again? But Microwave told me he was ending the LARP. I feel so used, so wipes tears. And then Q says, ask yourself a simple logical question. Majority of Q attacks, and I found this interesting. Why are the majority of Q attacks by pro orders coming from AJ, Alex Jones, OS backed, whatever that means, possibly Mossad, I don't know, from Alex Jones and or Alex Jones known associates? Be a threat to them. Why not simply publish an original picture 3 seconds to establish accountability? Why was this done in the past? We knew this type of attack was coming. Predictable fake news. Intensify Q. 2089. He continues along that line. Says post original minus 1, 2, 3 seconds to establish credibility. Example 1. Air Force One 5A underscore 2 posted 11/9/2017. Air Force One 5A underscore 3 posted 5/10. Okay, 2 second string. Prepared, predictable. This is not a game. Stupid. Okay, then 2090 is a NewYorkTimes.com article. Jerome Corsi is about to be subpoenaed by the Mueller investigation. Q2091 is a www.politico.com story. Documents Russia. Believe in coincidences. Okay. Q2092. An article from SarahCarter.com. President Trump may declassify the 20 FISA documents Congress wants. Instances Q. Okay. A com video in 2093. Q2093. He posts a link to a YouTube.com video where Matt Kavanaugh, the current Supreme Court nominee, was being questioned by Lindsey Graham. 6-minute mark of that video, he was asked some interesting questions about military law and civilian law and about those who are charged with or accused of or charged with working with foreign interests, treason, in other words. Can they be charged and all that? But that's what they were talking about, which is it says interesting line of questions. Normal military law versus criminal law. Oh, think Hillary Rodham Clinton panic. Coincidence, you have more than you know. Apparently, Lindsey Graham was asking those questions because they know what happened in that military tribunals will take place. 2094 is by the President of the United States, President Trump. This afternoon at 3:15 p.m. Eastern, he posted one word post, and the word was treason ? And then there is Q2095. Starts with February 21st, 2018, that says, Patriot loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interest with devotion. regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights against presumed interference by the federal government. Traitor betrays another, a cause, or any trust. A person who commits treason in his or her country. And so we have cues, some of these cues talking a lot about treason versus civilian law, so on and so forth. Something's coming. And then he says, after that one, then he says, Q says, fellow patrons, that this was posted once before some time ago, but he posts it again. Fellow patriots, what you are about to learn should not only scare you, but intensify your resolve to take back control, freedom. That will become public. FISA will further demonstrate the criminal and corrupt, pure evil, abuse of power administration undertook in joint efforts with domestic and foreign dignitaries. Coup d'etat. Snowball has begun rolling. There is no stopping it now. Directive 5. That's the directive that allows the president to use the military. Okay? Domestically. The course and trust the plan. Protective measures are in place. Remain brave. Come. Then he's got a link to that YouTube video that, where it says this video will get Donald Trump elected. Okay. Stand worldwide. Where we go one, we go all. Conspiracy no more. Q. That is the cues for this evening, but it is obvious by those cues that we just read that something big, probably in the next few days, it's about to happen, folks. And with that, I will turn it back over to Johnny and see if he has any more to add. John?
Actually, I don't have any more to add, but I want everybody to know what's getting ready to happen is there's going to be a lot of huge names, actually more huge names, are going to be getting arrested. And those are people that are in the White House on both sides, as well as more pedophiles. They just arrested 100 and how many was it, Chuck? They just arrested of pedophiles or kids, where they rescued 120. I think it was 126 kids or something like that, maybe more.
150.
Okay, 150 kids were rescued from a pedophile. Right. But these kids were taken from a pedophile house. Some of these kids hadn't even been reported missing. Now, there's a whole lot wrong with this. We know that the deep state is deeply involved in the pedophilia. That's been proven. There's a lot of people out of your some of your night show hosts are going to be getting arrested. There's a whole lot going on right now. So I'm going to ask all of you, like I always do, if you have kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, it don't matter, children, neighbors' children, keep your eye on them. Protect those kids. You see anything going on that is abnormal, cars going slow by watching kids, get their numbers, call 911. Protect these kids. The kids are our future. And you need to make sure that if you take them someplace, don't let them just run around out of your eyesight. Keep an eye on them. Be responsible. Show them love, show them care, and let them know that how much you love them. Too much is going on. It's getting worse and getting worse. And we need to stop it. We need to stop all of this dead in its tracks. And the Patriot group is trying all they can, but you know what? We're only one group. We're a large group, very large group, but we can't do your job for you being good parents. You know, you've got to protect your loved ones no matter what. If you got kids, give them a hug. Let them know you love them. Tuck them in at night. Say a prayer with them. whatever it takes, let them know how much you appreciate them. Keep them close. Talk to them. Listen to them. They may be kids, but they observe what's going on. They know what's going on, and I call them little adults. If a lot of times, if people would have listened to kids, a lot of things would have happened. But we love all of you. Thank you for tuning into our show tonight. And Ken, again, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being our guest tonight, and I hope you will join us permanently. You're a great patriot. You're a great person for our nation. You changed history just by what you did. And we love you and we respect you. So.
Thank you very much. I feel the same way about you guys. Thank you all very much.
You're very welcome. And you know, the phone goes two ways. We can call each other yet. And if you get up my neck of the woods, we'll find something to do. I do plan on coming down and seeing you when I go down and see my brother. And I wish you and your family the best. Tell your wife I said hi.
Sure will.
And
Look forward to seeing you.
with that, do you have any closing remarks you'd want to make, Ken, before we say our prayer and close the show?
I don't think so. Just thank you all for everything that y'all done and for being there.
You're very welcome, my friend. Okay, Chuck, do you want to close this evening with prayer?
Jesus, we thank you for this opportunity that we've had to come here tonight and do this great work that you've given to us to do. We thank you for your blessings upon it. We ask you, Lord, now to continue with us throughout the remainder of this night and into the coming days. Guard us and direct us and draw us ever closer to one another, ever closer to thee, for we do ask it in Jesus' name. Amen and amen.
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 Okay.
Thank you for joining the Constitutional Patriots radio show tonight. Our next show will be on Friday, 6 p.m. Mountain and 5 p.m. Pacific. Have a great night, Patriots, and we will see you on Friday, sorry.